Charles, that was an update in a case involving one of the prominent Houston rappers, Sauce Walka, who was shot in Memphis, Tennessee, with another local rapper who was murdered at the shooting scene. And 21-year-old Jayden Dandridge was identified as one of the prime suspects in the shooting, one who was absolutely seen coming and exiting the vehicle that was used in the shooting, in the killing. His face was not covered when he exited the vehicle. They could clearly show it was him. And so now he was wanted by Memphis police, but subsequently he has been found dead in Houston, Texas. And there's an arrest warrant for another gentleman that's out there also who allegedly was involved in the murder. And I just want to say to these young brothers in the hip hop industry, as I said last week, don't be confused. Don't you think for 1 minute that there's not an ongoing task force that's seeking to set up many of you all in these hip hop beefs that you're having in the streets of America. The federal government, the FBI, has been notorious for years in going after prominent hip hop figures. They investigated and went after Murder Incorporated, those brothers who were with Ja Rule. They absolutely went after Death Row and Suge Knight to come after them with conspiracy charges involved in multiple shootings and murders that they were being investigated for. And they also had a real legendary, awful, shameful, and ratchet, corrupt investigation to Jay Prince of Rap-A-Lot Records in Houston, Texas. So this is nothing new that the FBI has been involved in ongoing investigations of hip-hop artists, their labels, their affiliates, and they're after them because they really hate what hip-hop has quote-unquote created, which is a culture of death, violence, and gunfighting and gun shootings and murder. And so they're used as justification to bring down many of these entrepreneurs who are making tens of millions of dollars from the hood and using music as a way to exit the hood. But unfortunately, those who are becoming successful, many of them don't want to exit the hood. They want to maintain hood character and conduct that is leading to much more violence like what we see right now involving the killing in Memphis, Tennessee.
You know, Quanell, this is the second time in a row that we have had a horrifying story, and instead of directing that horrifying story at talking to the community that is involved in all of this horrifying crime, and I'm talking about our hip-hop community, instead of saying, hey, it's time to set aside childish, violent things and embrace your success in musicality, instead you just went on a tirade about how evil the American government is. We've talked about it. You know, we were at a Colorado Buffaloes game. Congrats on your new contract, Dion. Last year, where Yella Beezy was on the sideline with us. Yella Beezy is now staring down the barrel of life in prison, despite all of his tremendous success. Sauce Walka has come out and said publicly, I have 500 guys ready to go to war for me, but I am not going to seek reprisal. Right? And I applaud Sauce for doing so, right? Whether it was sincere or a subterfuge, at least he came out publicly and said, hey, I'm not supporting a continuation of this cyclical violence because violence begets violence, period. You have this story that just broke today. This is 21-year-old, a child basically, Jayden Dandridge, who exited a stolen car without a mask, so brazen, to assassinate another human being. And now we have what we can only assume in retaliation, yet another assassination and his body dumped here in Houston. I do not want to see a Memphis-Houston war, right, between rival gangs, rival hip-hop artists, but I don't think we need to be spending time on this platform condemning the law enforcement, that it's their job to solve these crimes and bring to consequence the people participating in their crimes. Instead, we should be saying, hey, stop shooting and killing people, all right? Even, you know, obviously there are many hip-hop artists who just pretend, right? Who pretend that they came from the struggle and we're out hustling, and it's all just a pretense. It's all a fiction. It's like a mask. It's like a performance art. Right? But we also have those that did come from very hard lives and very hard communities beset by violent crime that they were involved in, and then their artistry allowed them to escape it. And what we should be saying to those people in that community, instead of saying, oh, the government's out to get you, is, hey, let's set that down. Make sure that you move securely. Make sure you spend the time, the effort, and the money necessary to protect yourself and give back to your community, as opposed to just turning this never-ending wheel of violence that has silenced so many voices. Period. It's time to start the people in the position to advocate. Instead, you're sitting there, oh, the FBI. Well, don't you want the FBI to put murderers in prison?
Brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. Do your factual research. The American mafia was told that they could not commit murders in white neighborhoods, but they could commit those murders in certain neighborhoods of color, and the police would not really investigate
who are
it.
committing
Let
murders?
me finish.
No, who are
Let me
committing?
finish.
Who is
Let me-
committing
Hold
murders
on, man.
in
Shut the
neighborhoods of
hell
color?
up
You
and
interrupt
let
me
me
all the
speak to my
time.
people.
This show has just
Let me
become you
speak to my
interrupting.
people.
But when I interrupt
Brothers and
you because
sisters,
you're lying,
let me tell you
speak
something.
to my
Do
people.
you realize that the FBI always knew who killed Tupac Shakur? The FBI knew who killed Biggie Smalls,
Not a white
but
guy.
the FBI did not want to solve those
Not the
crimes
Italian mafia.
because they wanted black hip-hop moguls and artists to continue the feud. Do you really believe that if the FBI and the United States government wanted to end hip-hop beefs, they couldn't do it? All they'd have to do is tell the record moguls, Sony, RCA, all of these moguls, tell them that if you put out lyrics of rappers rapping about killing and murdering and destroying each other's communities, we will not allow you to distribute that music, and we will fine your companies for doing so. It would end overnight. But they know that rapping about murder and distributing that music worldwide, all over the world, feeds the narrative that these big white-owned companies want to feed. It's no secret why private prisons in America, the majority of their stock in the last 10 years has been bought by hip-hop record executives that are not black. Do your research. So why is hip-hop moguls buying stock in private prisons? Because they know that they're pushing rappers to distribute, to stop the killing, it's the madness, the lyrics, to keep killing one another, Charles. They don't want this to stop because it's very profitable in black ignorance. It's very profitable in record hip-hop labels promoting the beef between artists. That's profitable. Take the profit margin out of it and it would cease and desist. But those distributors want to make sure the brothers keep talking like that, so they keep killing each other. Brother Sauce Walka, be very careful who you talk to, because you'll never know who the informant is, who the cooperating witness may be, and you never know somebody who was a friend today may have been flipped the night before and become your enemy tomorrow. I'm warning all of you rappers, stop the killing. Stop murdering one another. But we've been begging you to do that for almost 40-something years now. But there's people in this country who need private prison beds filled, who got to make sure the stockholders in private prisons get rich, and they don't want to hold the moguls who own the distribution labels of all of this music accountable. If they did, they could stop this overnight.
So if you talk long enough, maybe I'll forget all of the lies you told. Let's see if I can go
you
right.
just
But
hate that a
look
black
who's
man
interrupting me.
will hold you accountable. That's what you hate.
Let me know. See, you scream and cry when I
like
interrupt you,
Negroes
but
killing
all
each
you
other.
do. Let's start with the beginning. You began with, oh, the FBI told the white mafia that they had to go kill people
And they
in black
did.
neighborhoods.
They did. That's a
Here's
fact.
Here's the truth, right? In America in 2023, the last year we have good numbers for, right? And in fact, we got wrong numbers at first because the Biden administration was playing with them, but they're better. Okay, so the rate of killing, right, per capita. And the racists will use it to condemn black people unfairly. And of course, like Jasmine Crockett went on TV about a month ago and said, the extreme violence in this country, 80% of it is committed by the white man. Why? Because she wants people mad based on race. But let's talk the reality, right? For every 100,000 white men, about 3.3 of those white men are murderers, right? For every 100,000 black men, it's 33.9, a little bit more than 10 times the rate, right? But if you go into the black communities where you're talking about violence, almost 100%, like 99.98% is committed by other African Americans, right? So when you want to sit here and say, oh, the evil white man was told they got to go kill in the black community, you're just lying to people. And the real truth is that instead of lying, right, instead of going on and giving legal advice to Sauce Walka, people are going to snitch, everyone should know, everyone engaged in a criminal endeavor, and I'm not saying he is because I don't know, but everyone that is should realize that people are going to snitch, okay? That's just part of the game. But what we need to do is instead focus on, you talk about, oh, they knew who killed Biggie Smalls.
Of course
they knew
they
who killed.
knew.
Of course they knew. It was other African Americans. In fact, there were some LAPD officers who were involved in an African American blood gang internal to the LAPD. It's all terrifying stuff, right? But it's not the evil white man. When you say, oh, let me finish. You went on for like 10 minutes. Let me finish.
Lie.
When you went on and said the majority of stockholders of private prisons are
in
white.
The last 10 years,
white.
In the last 10 years have been music executives
that's absolutely not true.
Stock in private prisons.
Well, there might
Do your
be,
research.
There might be
Do your research, ladies and gentlemen.
buying stock, but they're not the majority stockholders. You just made that up.
Charles,
and people listen to you
Charles,
lie. And they think, oh my God, that's so horrible, Mr.
Along
X.
with the FBI, went to the Gambino crime family out of New York and told them, if you're going to sell heroin, do it in the Negro community, but you can't do it in certain areas of New York. It was Paul Castellano who was willing to almost testify that they were given license to distribute drugs in black neighborhoods. Remember the San Jose Mercury News. Go Google it, ladies and gentlemen. The San Jose Mercury News exposed that the United States government and the CIA brokered a deal with South American drug lords and drug dealers to sell and distribute crack cocaine in the inner cities of Los Angeles and around America and turned a blind eye. And they were giving drugs for guns. And Colonel Oliver North was involved in the Iran-Contra scandal. And the San Jose Mercury News exposed him. And the reporter was later found dead with alleged suicide. God damn it, don't you tell me the American government hasn't done this to black people. You foster criminals.
Well,
you make criminals.
I didn't say that. What I said instead is we're talking about an issue now. You began with the 1950s mafia. Now you've moved to the 1980s, right, and talked about now Iran-Contra, I know you don't read a lot, is very different from the infusion of cocaine to create crack.
They were sending the CIA was overseas
both,
using
right?
cocaine.
And that was in the
from
1980s.
South America, sold it into
so
America.
one thing 80 years ago, now another thing 50 years ago.
It ain't been 50 years ago. Oh no, this was the 90s, baby.
Okay.
This was the 90s, baby.
Wasn't the 90s.
Freeway Rick Ross was giving that cocaine all up through the 90s.
And it was exposed in the 2000s. And of course, yes, I would agree that I think this journalist was silenced, but that's not what we're talking about.
So the United States government has made profits and a business of turning black neighborhoods into criminal empires and gang wars and gun violence.
2025, and we're talking about crime that is destroying black community in 2025, and we're talking about trying to advocate for solutions so law-abiding poor black citizens
and now all of a sudden they love us.
Live safely
These
in the
same
neighborhood.
agencies love us now in 2025.
Again, I'm talking about local law enforcement and the